We are 22 West Radio, the next wave of K-Beats. 22 West Radio is 22 West Media and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Now, welcome to the Golden Spotlight. At this time, I'd like my guest to introduce himself.
Hi, my name's Eddie Martinez. I'm the Executive Director of Latino Quality Alliance, and it's a nonprofit in Boyle Heights, and I would like to say thank you, Rob, for inviting me to be a guest.
Excellent. Now, I'd like to start off from the beginning with my guest. Tell me, what was life growing up? Well, tell us about your early years in K-12.
Oh boy. Let's see. Obviously, my parents are immigrants from Mexico. I grew up in Huntington Park, here in Los Angeles County in Southeast Los Angeles, my hometown. Went to Bell High School. I think as a kid, I was a quiet boy. I was a boy that experienced a lot of challenges because I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. I was overweight. I also got teased because I had somewhat of a feminine voice. And because of all that teasing, made me a very sheltered young individual. And I think just over the years, I really focused on my education, and that education eventually led me to go to Long Beach State. And I wouldn't mention that I was not always a shelter. I mean, despite the bullying I faced, there was a moment in my life where I woke up and realized that people can change, and if I have a chance, I'll tell you that story, and it has to do with the peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Cool. So, right now in K-12, like, what were you like back then? Like, what were your interests? Were you in like clubs? What was your favorite class? Stuff like that.
Long Beach State. Well, I could tell you the first class that I did not like and I stepped out was a radio television class. Before I went to college, I told my mom, I want to be a broadcaster. I want to be on the radio. I want to be on TV. And I signed up to be a radio TV major. And my first class was a radio TV. And I went into the class. It was a large lecture room. And the first thing the professor said when he got to the front of the class, he said, I'm going to let everybody know right now that it doesn't pay a lot to be a broadcaster, and you'll probably be working 3 o'clock in the morning in Boise, Idaho. And since he said that, I said, okay, this is not for me. I had to go somewhere different. So I can tell you that that was probably the one class I did not like. And in terms of the class I like, obviously classes that dealt with my major, that eventually became as business marketing. But I think the journey, I think the story that I would like to tell going to Long Beach State was the fraternity that I was a part of, like Mi Familia, which was Delta Sigma Chi. And my first year in college, it was fall 1987. I remember walking, it's a culture shock. You come from Huntington Park, and you go to, I went to Bell High School, and it's like 99.9% Latino. And then you go to Long Beach State, and it's not that. It's very diverse, and you're dealing with of a different environment, and you kind of question whether you belong here or not. And I remember seeing all these different fraternities on campus, and there were not that many Latinos in these fraternities. I saw the African American fraternities, the black fraternities, and I saw the fraternities, the traditional ones. And I remember walking through the student, I guess when they have that student fair or the walkway with all these student organizations. I remember going up to an individual that was one of my mentors and one of my counselors in EOP, and I asked her, well, how come there are no Latino fraternities? I see the traditional ones and I see the African American ones, but where are the Latinos? And then she told me, she turned around and she tapped on the shoulders of an individual. His name was Mike Valenzuela, and introduced me to him. And I told him, why isn't there no Latino fraternities? And he said, you know what? You're in luck. I'm starting a new fraternity, a Latino fraternity, and I'm looking for individuals to have interest in it. I said, oh, yeah, definitely had interest. He said, well, show up to this room on Thursday evening at this time and bring some friends if you want to. And I said, sure. I brought some friends, and I remember going to this room. There was 7 other individuals, 7 other students in there that had interest in the fraternity, not knowing that was an actual initiation ceremony. And I 2 hours later, after that particular ceremony or meeting, I ended up being a pledge of Delta Sigma Chi fraternity. and it was the first of its kind at Long Beach State. And that became a big change in my life because it really made me who I am today, because it helped develop my leadership, but also helped uplift a community at Long Beach State that needed to be uplifted. And that was Latino students that at the time were dropping out at a very high rate, and this fraternity was to provide that social support for these individuals to stay in college.
Tell us also, how, I guess in pop culture, like, unfortunately, like, how the media portrays it a bad way, and really, like, the misconceptions when you, like, see movies and stuff, like fraternities. Like, tell us the importance of fraternities.
Well, obviously, there is some challenges with fraternities when you have a group of individuals that come together and they develop this bond and this pride of who you are, and then sometimes there's these initiation ceremonies that do not go the way it should go, and bad things happen, and also there's the excess of partying. But our particular fraternity was different. It was not to come together and party. It was not to haze each other. It was about to uplift individuals that just felt like they didn't belong, on campus. For most of us, we came from, when you talk about Latinos here at Long Beach State, a lot of us grew up here in the area, in LA County. We came from Big Rivera, Huntington Park, El Monte, Wilmington, the South Bay. This is our hometown. And if we go to university like Long Beach, which is nearby, sometimes we didn't feel like we belong. It's a lot different today, I'm sure, but back 30 years ago, it was very different. And so our fraternity was to empower our brothers to support each other and to care for each other and to uplift each other, to be part of a campus life. Now, I would say that we started off as an all-male fraternity, and about a year and a half later, we made a decision to become co-ed, just for the reason that we felt like having a little sister program kind of made them less than. And the Little Sisters were very active with our fraternity, and so we made the decision to make ourselves co-ed, so we had equal members. And that decision proved to be a powerful decision, because what it did is our organization grew from where it was only at the first pledge class like 7 to like 2 years later, we had over 120 paid members. And we became this active force on campus that changed the culture here. And it changed the culture at sporting events, it changed the culture how Latinos got involved, but also it made individuals that came from, as I said, Big Rivera and like Southgate to feel like they really belong and they can get involved on campus life.
Tell us about, the uniqueness of having a co-ed fraternity and stuff like that.
Oh, I think it's unique because it brought a different sense of, a different attitude to organization. It was not just about a bunch of young men coming together. It was about men and women coming together and realize that it's not just about who we are, our gender, but it's about who we are as a community, our gente. And so we supported each other and we uplifted each other. And together we tackled the issues that we're facing, the issues that we're facing in the Latino community, like machismo. We came from traditional Latino households, came from parents that did not understand why their daughter was out, hanging out with a bunch of college students at Long Beach State. And so because we came from households where parents were not as supportive and understanding why we gathered, we uplifted each other, and we used that bond to support each other and to get us to the finish line, which was graduating from college.
Some students, they go to class and then they go straight home. Tell us about, the benefits of being involved on campus.
Yeah, you know what, I noticed a lot of students that went to Long Beach that did not get involved. They just didn't feel connected, and a lot of them drop out because there was outside. Education is very important, but also is a supporting environment. And I think a lot of individuals, a lot of students, because they didn't participate, they slowly began to feel like they did not belong to this campus. And I think when you're part of an organization, part of a fraternity, and whether it's a fraternity or whether it's another organization like La Raza Student Association or like the Business Society, whatever it may be, it's a network of individuals that can provide you that support system, but also you have that common thread in terms of belonging to organization, and it's that common thread you hold on that will get you to that finish line, which is graduation.
So for those who aren't familiar with like fraternities and stuff, and like the process for like joining and all that stuff, tell us also not just that, but also you know, in the long run, also like after graduation, like obviously networking is also a huge part of like joining things.
Yeah, well, definitely the talent. We have a lot of amazing human beings that were part of this family that is now doing great work out in the community. Some are elected officials, some are teachers, and some are leading organizations, nonprofits, some are leading businesses. So it's a wide spectrum of talent that's out there. Now this talent is used to come back and share lessons learned to the next generation. We come back and we tell we educate the newest members what you need to do to be successful in college, but what you need to do to be successful after college, and also because we have all this talent and we're all working, we can now raise money for scholarships, and that's what we do on an annual basis. We raise money for scholarships to making sure that our younger brothers and sisters who might not have the income to pay for their tuition, we can come in and help them out there.
Tell us also about like the origins. So you hear the terms, there's like terminology, like the words Greek life and all that.
Mm-hmm. The origins, so obviously it follows the Greek letters, alpha, beta, delta, gamma, which I had to like memorize. Our particular letters we picked was delta, sigma, chi. Each of the letters represents a certain aspect of who we are and what we represent. I think, and it's been a while, so I can't remember the meaning of the letters, but because even our colors, which is red, black, and gold, also signifies importance. But I can tell you overall that the letters and the colors we pick symbolizes our culture, it symbolizes our struggle, it symbolizes education, it symbolizes diversity, and also symbolizes the need to be leaders in the world. And also in a family environment to support each other.
And also the terminology also, like what does rush mean, and like pledge and all of that other stuff too.
Okay, so rush is the period of where you get to know the different fraternal organizations out there. So a lot of fraternities will have like an open house, they have these rush activities, and basically it's to come to learn about the different fraternities and see if that fraternity would be a right fit for you. During the whole rush, the fraternity also gets to look at the different candidates out there of individuals that they feel will be the best fit for their organization. Now I can tell you that a lot of traditional fraternities, sororities, they kind of handpick who they want to pledge their fraternity. Ours, we did not have that. If you had interest in our organization, no matter what you look like, no matter where you're from, you get an automatic invitation to pledge our fraternity. So once rush is over, then an invitation is given out to an individual to come pledge the organization. And so you will have to come to a night which is called preferential night. I think it's called preferential, yeah. And at that night is when you begin the ceremony of introduction into the organization. That night is a ceremony, and that night is when now you become a pledge after the ceremony, and then this is a period of time where you're pledging. And so it could take a few months, it could take the whole semester. Once the pledging ends, then you have the celebration where you get introduced as an active member.
And tell us about, were there any like traditions, like annual events that the fraternity was known for as well?
Well, at that time, one of our goals was to get our fraternity to be active on a campus life. And we had football. We had a football team back in the late '80s and early '90s, and so we made an effort to get involved in the different activities. But we also made an effort to get involved in the big homecoming game they had here, homecoming festivities and game, and because they had a contest. It was like a big 1 week of all these different events and contests, and all these fraternities and sororities and organizations got involved. And then you had the top 3 winners, and then the top winner would get this big perpetual trophy that would be passed on year to year to the new winner. And so when we got involved the first year, we did very well. You know, traditionally, the homecoming activities was always won by these traditional fraternities. And then you have this bunch of brown people coming together and participating, and then we end up winning the first year. And we loved it. We loved getting involved. We loved participating in the homecoming barbecue and going to the game and supporting our university, our football team. And then that became a tradition for us to get involved, to making sure that that people from Pico Rivera and like Southgate, Huntington Park could come and get involved. You know, we got involved with they had a homecoming king and queen at the time. And I would say that I was the last homecoming king for Long Beach State for football. When the football team was cut, that also ended the run of having a homecoming king and queen, and I happened to have the honor of being the last one, and I believe that was probably in '91 or '92, and I still have the crown at home. I want to come bring it back, and I want to give it to the Alumni Association, so if they have any archives here, I want to just have them keep it for historical purposes. But it's kind of cool that a kid from Huntington Park, Latino from the southeast side of Los Angeles, has the honor of being the last homecoming king.
Cool, cool. Also, tell us about how fraternity life also helped you with like succeeding in your studies as well, like study groups and all that stuff.
Yeah, we definitely had study sessions. It was mandatory for us once, I think like once or twice a week, and they had got more strict now. Now that I hear what they're doing today, they really focus on academics. But back then, we were required to have study sessions where we go to the library and we're in there for 3 to 4 hours studying. Obviously, we, depending on our majors, we could support each other, we could mentor each other, encourage each other. And also, when there was opportunities to have a fellowship or internship, we would look for those opportunities for our members. And it was obviously, I think also we looked at the whole social support aspect too, because at the end of the day, it's very stressful. It's stressful to focus on doing a research paper. It's stressful to do all this reading, and sometimes you need to take a break. And then when you have a friend or a brother or sister there with you, and you can take a break with that individual, and you can just vent, because you have to think about mental health. Mental health is a big component for a lot of college students, and you got to be in a good state of mind. And sometimes when you're part of a social support network and able to vent and able to bring down the stress and acknowledge each other that what you're all experiencing is real, it gives you a better sense of good mental health, and that is so important. So I would say not only that the social support, but there's also the mental health component to being part of a fraternity.
Cool. Tell us how the history of how the logo and stuff came about.
Well, it was our founding fathers came up with the logo. I don't know the full history on how they picked Delta Sigma Chi and the red, white, and colors, and they probably did tell me, but it's been 30 years, and I probably have forgotten, and I would have to do research. But I can tell you, I could give you a little background to how I became very active in the fraternity, and what led to me making sure that Delta Sigma Chi became what it is today. So I mentioned before when I pledged, I wanted to be part of a organization that provided support to you. And I remember what my founding fathers told me, that the fraternity will be here to take care of you, to make sure that you get through college. So when I pledged, that's what I was expecting. Well, after one semester, a couple of my good friends, pledged brothers, decided to go into the Marines and the Navy for 1 year, because it would help pay for their higher education. And so we lost them. But then the following semester after I pledged, the fraternity was not active anymore. It was not really hosting events. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure if the founding fathers got burned out, maybe the young, and then the new members of the Alpha class that came in did not know where to step up and lead the organization, so it kind of went dormant. It died the second semester. And I remember I was pissed. I was pissed because I was told that this organization was going to be there for me and to care for me and take care of me. And I remember my friend that went out to the service called me during the summer to ask me, so how is the fraternity, you know? And I told him, you know what, I'm pissed off. I'm not happy with this fraternity. They did not become active in the second semester. They did not provide that support that I was looking for. And my brother was telling me, like, you know, I want to, when I come back, I want to be involved. I want to be part of this fraternity. I wanted to see active. And then at that time, when he said that, I realized, you know what, this is not about me. This is about we as a community. And I was being a little selfish, thinking that this fraternity was going to provide something to me, when I realized it was my job to uplift myself and to be part of a movement that will help care for others in my community that came from the same background as I did. And so that kind of inspired me to reach out to my brothers and sisters that were still on campus to organize and say, you know what, we have an opportunity to resurrect this fraternity and to pledge a whole new new class of new members the following semester. And so we started organizing, and that's what eventually led to it becoming co-ed and to it becoming this organization that strives on academic success today, but also provide that sense of familia to our members, to making sure that they are cared for, taken care of, but it has to be done in a collective unit. It can't be an I, it has to be a we, in order to create this, this student-led transformation change.
Cool. What was the reaction when people, like, was it the new thing to have co-ed around?
No, it was not. I believe I think there was a business association that was co-ed. It was new and it was hard. The vote for us to become co-ed was by one vote. And it was a vote by only the brothers at the time, and we struggled back and forth. If we became co-ed, we would no longer be a fraternity. And I was under belief that it doesn't matter whether it's all male. I mean, the word fraternity is just a word. But we got to look at the whole concept of the purpose of a fraternity, and that is to provide this support network, this nest that would capture everyone, to keep everyone together, and that is what it was more important. Because, you know, at the time, a lot of my Latino brothers and sisters were dropping out. It's not the time to say, oh no, only males or only females. It had been, we had to take care of both I won't say both genders, but everyone that's within that whole spectrum of what is a Latino community on campus.
Now, within the structure, so like they pair you up with like a mentor and stuff like that?
Oh yes, I was given a big brother, and this brother was the one that mentored me, gave me guidance and advice, and also a person that I could vent as well. Obviously then when we started getting new pledge classes, then I became a big brother over the next generation. So I think I got about, over the years, I probably got like 5 little brothers in the fraternity.
Cool, cool. How does it work, the brother system?
The brother system, I'm trying to remember if we selected or it was given to me. It's been a while, I can't remember, but I just know that once you were given a pledge brother, then a little brother, then it's your responsibility to mentor, you know, have one-on-one conversation, check in and see how they're doing in life, check in how they're doing with their family, check in how they're doing on campus, at school, how they're doing with their grades, and see if we could give any lessons learned to this individual. You know, with the goal, obviously, not only for ourselves to graduate from college, but also the goal was to have the little brother graduate from college and to continue that friendship afterwards.
Cool, cool. Tell us about how I guess so that our audience knows the difference between like the stuff they see in movies and how they see it in how in reality how it is. But that movie Stomp the Yard. Do you guys do those like dance stuff?
They do now. They not at the time. Not when I was in the fraternity. We didn't do all that dance steps, moves, and now they do. They somehow over the past. And it's been 30 years, so somehow there was an evolution of our fraternity. They have this unique handshake that they're trying to teach me, but I'm old school. And my old handshake was just the two arms crossing each other. Now they do all these little snaps, and that's confusing. But they also do a dance, a step dance, and they also participate in some of the step competitions with. I think with other Latino other fraternity sororities that I believe are on campus now, but also there's also an international step, so they also have participated with the Black Greeks, and I think that's cool. It's an opportunity we all like to dance, and we all dance differently according to our culture, our neighborhood, and to see my brothers and sisters all participating in this dance that symbolizes who we are, I love it.
Now, obviously, books can be expensive. Tell us, did you have to work while going to school?
Yes, I did. My first job, I was at, I worked at a theater in Downey, California. It was at a Stonewood Center. It was called the Stonewood Center Mall. That was fun because I get to allow my brothers and sisters to come in and watch free movies. Eventually, I started working, I started living in Long Beach. I moved away from Huntington Park, where my family was at, to where I had shared an apartment in Long Beach. So I got a job on campus at the Long Beach State Athletics Club, athletic office. And so I worked with my manager at the time, or supervisor, Paul, and he oversaw ticket sales. So I helped him to help sell tickets to football, basketball, all sporting events here. But also we did some marketing, and that was kind of cool to help out with that marketing. And I think because I got involved through the athletic department, that kind of increased my excitement for 49ers sports, which also led to me getting involved with homecoming and all the 49ers Spirit Week activities they had at the time at Long Beach.
Tell us about the strategies you use to, succeed in, midterms and finals, as that's always like, some of the most stressful times for a student.
I'm going to be honest, I was one of those that I procrastinated a lot. It was a very unique time period for me. Because as a kid I was an introvert, and as an introvert I did not socialize a lot, so I focused on my studying, and that's all I did. That was Now when I started opening up and becoming an extrovert and really getting involved in campus life, and I was like, yeah, I want to make this fraternity work, we got to help our people. Studying was it was important, but I didn't make it as important as I should at the time. So I would procrastinate a lot, but somehow I got through it. Where the last 2 weeks before finals or a test, I really put myself in the library, and I just stay there till like 1 to 2 o'clock at night, and then come back in the morning and study. I did what I can to do any self-care that's needed. Sometimes you got to take a break. It's when you're stressed out. I would love to. Oh, you know what I used to do a lot? I used to drive down to the beach and just listen to the ocean water, to the waves, and just listen to it, and just put myself in a very calm state of mind, and embrace what I have control over, embrace what I don't have control over, and just know that I am human, that everything's going to be okay. Stay focused on your studying and on your finals, and you'll get through it. And somehow I did. I got through it.
Were there any clubs that you were a part of?
Oh, quite a few clubs. Well, I was also a member of the Hispanic Student Business Association. I think I participated in the United Latino Students. There was also Latino Psychology Student Association. Sometimes I went to the La Raza Student Association meetings. Obviously, I was a member of Delta Sigma Chi. I was part of the Homecoming Commission. I think it was part of the 49ers Spirit Commission. I did try to run for office to be a associate student senator at large. Let's see. I think those are the top clubs that I was a part of.
Cool. So how did you reach the decision of your major?
Oh, let's see. So after I decided I didn't want to do radio, TV. It took me 2 years. It took me 2 years to realize what is my talent. And so when I was part of this fraternity, I noticed that I was designing a lot of the marketing materials. And I was also really effectively trying to brand our organization as who we are, how we market ourselves. I made sure we were visible at a lot of the sporting events. And so it helped create this impression that people had, a very positive impression that people have at Delta Sigma Chi. And I realized, I think I have a knack there. There's something there that I'm very good at. I'm very good at organizing, I'm very good at publicity, I'm very good at promoting and thinking of marketing gimmicks. And I thought, you know what, maybe business marketing is what I need to get into. Because at the end of the day, running an organization is just like running a business. You gotta raise the money, you gotta be financially accountable to that, you know, and you gotta track all the money, you gotta operate as a business, you're the president, the CEO, then you got the support staff, which is all the other people that have they have a position as an officer, and then you have your clients, which are the members, you know, and so it's just like running a business, and to me, business marketing was my calling.
You know, obviously, there's an emphasis on like the importance of, you know, nowadays it's great to know more than one language. Tell us, you know, about being bilingual.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, my Spanish is like, it's not the best. People always have an accent. And you know what, I tell people it's my East LA accent. You know, growing up on the East Side, whether we speak Spanish or not, you know, we have an accent. It's who we are. You know, it's like, you know, on the East Coast or the Bronx, they have an accent. So my parents are from Mexico, they speak Spanish. But where I grew up in Huntington Park when I was very young, it was predominantly white in my neighborhood at the time. And then somehow in the 70s, there was this called the white flight. So my older brothers and sisters, they picked up the Spanish from my mom and dad. The younger brothers and sisters, and there was 6 of us, the younger 3, we learned, the first language we learned was from our older brothers and sisters, and our neighborhood kids that we played around with, and then school. So like English was taught to us first. I understand Spanish, and I could probably speak it brokenly, but I struggle with it. But somehow, like in my life journey, everything I have done, I was part of a Latino fraternity. After college, I promoted Latino clubs. I eventually started, I worked for a nonprofit that did work in the Latino community on HIV and AIDS. And like today, I work for a Latino organization that focuses on LGBT youth development and public education. So in all my journey and everything I have done, I've been really tied into my community. And somehow I'm able to survive having broken Spanish. There is a plus to having able to speak Spanish, speak as much language, and I do encourage folks, if you could speak more than one language, do so, and that it would help you in the long run, but don't let that discourage you, because I'm a walking example that if your heart is in the right place, and especially if you're doing community work, you're going to be able to do that community work.
Yeah, tell us about, you know, the benefits of volunteer work. I know that, you know, how do I put this? I guess because, like, I have family, too, where, like, my dad's side is all from Mexico, and, like, they don't understand that, like, volunteer work is impressive on the resume.
Yeah.
They kind of brush it off and be like, but you have no paid, and all this, or they'll be like, why would you, like, volunteer for free? Like, I have those uncles that, like, they don't understand.
It's so important because you want to build up your resume. There's 2 things, because I'm in the field of hiring individuals. I look at their education, I look at their experience. Whether it's paid or not, I look at their experience. And to volunteer, particularly if you're going to a certain field, volunteer will get you in the door. It will get you to understand what that particular field is about. And you will learn from that, you know, and I encourage everyone, build up your resume, because you know what, if you're going to go apply at a radio station and all you have on your resume is working at McDonald's, they're gonna give the position to someone that has volunteered at a radio station versus someone that works at McDonald's. So you got to be strategic. You got to work this out. All right, for me to get over there, how am I going to make myself the best qualified candidate? And that is, a lot has to do with your education, but also through your life experience.
So tell us about, you know, your time and each of your jobs leading up to where you are today.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
So like, you know, your journey from your different jobs and stuff like that.
That got me to what I do today?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I'm an openly gay Latino man. And I came out in my last year at Long Beach State, and that was a journey. You know, for me to be so focused on trying to help others, you know, not drop out from college, and to help my Latino brothers and sisters, you know, I was dealing also with my own struggles in life, and that was dealing with my sexuality and dealing with these feelings I had, the same-sex attraction, but also, you know, the stigma and the shame that comes with this, especially back in the 90s. It's a lot different than it was today. And eventually I came out, and I came out to a very supporting environment with on campus with my fraternity. After I graduated from college, I worked at a radio station, KBC Talk Radio. I was in their marketing department as an intern. Eventually, I decided to not do marketing anymore at a radio station. I felt like I wasn't growing at the radio station. I was an intern like forever. So I decided to promote clubs on my own, and I was promoting gay Latino clubs on the east side of Los Angeles, and it was called Route 605 Productions. Well, one night when I was promoting this club, I had an individual that had a table set up there, a nonprofit that was promoting the idea of a AIDS monument in the Latino community. And so a friend of mine introduced me to the person that had this vision. His name was Richard Zaldivar. And he told me, you know, I want to build an AIDS monument in the Latino community. I want to break down the whole stigma and shame that a lot of families are going through with losing a loved one to AIDS. And I thought, okay, I could see how that's very important. So he invited me to next day to come to his office so he could talk more about this project. And I walked away from that, the next day from that meeting, being hired to be a community organizer for the organization. He needed help to fundraise for he was doing a fundraiser, and he needed someone to help reach out to the Latino LGBT community, which, you know, I was a club promoter, so that was my market. So he hired me to be part of that fundraiser, and once that fundraiser ended, that's when I was given the chance to be a community organizer. And that was back in 1996, and I stayed with the organization for about 17 years. In those 17 years, I learned what it takes to be part of a nonprofit. I grew with the organization. I was able to learn about nonprofit management. I learned what it takes to build a monument out in the community. I learned what it takes to do community organizing, and also to have programs that will reach out to individuals that are at risk for HIV, and to make sure that they're given the education, the prevention to prevent them from having HIV, but if they do have HIV, then also they take care of themselves. Now, that position, I left that organization in 2012, and afterwards I went to go work for the Obama campaign in Colorado, and then that was a short-term job. For a couple of years I was doing these small little projects, but I eventually in 2015 I was given the opportunity to be the executive director of an organization called Latino Equality Alliance. It's a LGBT organization that does work in the Latino community to do public education, to develop young leaders, but also educate families on LGBT issues with the goal to increase family acceptance. So I've been the executive director for about 2 years, and I love it. It's stressful because you got to always raise money, just to let you know. When you're working for a nonprofit, and especially if you're in a leadership position, you always got to try to raise money. But I think the experience I had at Long Beach State with the fraternity, worked with different individuals, and doing a lot of organizing, that prepared me for my post-college life, and it made me who I am today.
That's nice. And tell us, the difference between a regular company and a nonprofit, and what's the uniqueness about nonprofits?
Well, obviously, nonprofit is not to make a buck. I mean, it's to raise a buck, so that buck could pay for the program services out there and to pay for the operations of the organization. But I think for-profit, you're there to raise money, raise revenue, and you're always trying to raise as much as you can so the organization, business can stay afloat. For-profit, non-profit, you're providing a service for free to the community. Okay, so for-profit, you're selling a service and someone has to buy to pay for that service. Non-profit, you're raising money so you can provide a service for free that will benefit the community. And I think that's the difference between for-profit and non-profit.
And tell us, how getting grants work. What is grants?
Oh, grants. Grants is it's how should I say? It's money. It's an award given by a funder to pay for a certain service. So what you do is when you're trying to raise money and you want to have a particular program, there are funders out there, whether it's a government or whether it's a foundation or whether it's a donor that will help pay for a grant, which is money that will allow you to do a certain type of service for the community. And so these are deliverables that are given to you once you get funded for a grant.
Now, I always ask my guests this question. I ask, where do you see yourself after retirement?
Oh, after retirement? Let's see. I do want to travel, but you know what? I want to travel before I retired, and I encourage everyone, don't wait till you retire to travel. Travel now. Travel now, even at a young age, in your 20s and 30s. Save money and go somewhere. But once I retired, I definitely would like to be in a position where I get to travel, but I'm always having a heart to do community work. So if I could use my retirement to volunteer, I could use my retirement to raise money and help a charity, at the same time enjoy life and eat well, live well, and to go out there and explore the world.
The other question I ask is, what would you like your legacy to be?
My legacy on planet Earth? I think my legacy will be, I'd probably just one angel of millions and millions and billions and trillions of angels out there. But I hope my legacy will help inspire people in my community, particularly the Latino community, that in order to enjoy life or make a difference in the life, you gotta act up, you gotta rise, you gotta uplift yourself, and not be afraid to take chances, and allow those chances to make life enjoyable, but also it will help others too as well. And I hope that my legacy will be about the spirit of making a difference in the community, the spirit of giving.
How can people contact you?
They can contact me, so obviously they could contact me. I'm on Facebook, Eddie Martinez, there's 1,000 Eddie Martinez. So listen, my work is LatinoEqualityAlliance.org. If you go to that website, there'll be a phone number there, and you could call the organization and ask for Eddie Martinez. I'm also on Instagram. I'm Viva Banana Power. And that the banana is the ball. It's a symbol of living well and taking care of yourself and then helping the community. But I'm on Facebook under Eddie Martinez.
Cool. And you mentioned bullying, going through bullying and stuff. Tell us also, the coping. How did you deal with the all the stress and stuff? What was your coping mechanisms for stress and stuff like that, and naysayers and all that?
That was it was hard. As a kid, I cried a lot, and sometimes I tell myself, because I catch myself not crying as much as an adult, I tell myself maybe I used up all my crying as a kid. I got bullied, I got made fun of for being overweight. I got bullied by kids. I got bullied by loved ones. And I remember always wanting to get away. Either I wanted to run away, or I thought maybe there's no point of living if people are just going to keep bullying me and not accepting me for who I am. And it wasn't until a moment, and I think I mentioned a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I'll tell you the story. So as I mentioned, I was bullied as a kid, and I cried a lot. But the one thing I loved as a kid was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I don't know, I thought that was like the greatest invention. You know, the whole peanut butter and the jelly and the bread, it just tasted so good. And so I will always make a peanut butter jelly sandwich just to make me feel good and to enjoy it. Well, during this whole time period of being bullied a lot, I remember and having a lot of insecurities about myself and a lot of self-doubt about myself. I remember my family wanted to go on a trip to the local shopping center, and I said, all right, we're going to go on a family trip. And I thought, well, you know, before we go on the trip, I know I think I had time to make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Well, just to let you know, for some reason as a kid, I was taught to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich a very difficult way. I would get the 2 slices of bread, I would get the jelly, and I would spread it on one side. Then I would get the peanut butter, and I would spread it on top of the jelly that's on one side. And it was very messy. It was hard to spread peanut butter over a jelly, and it would get on the counter, and it just got messy. But for some reason, I was taught that's how you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All right, well, going back on this trip that my family's going to take to the shopping mall, so I run to the kitchen. I get 2 slices, I get the bread, and I get 2 slices of the bread, and I get the peanut butter, and I get the jelly, and I was in a rush because I don't want to be late. Without thinking, I quickly got the peanut butter, and I put it on 1 slice of the bread, and then I got the jelly, and then I put it on top of the peanut butter, and as I was spreading it, I realized I was doing it the wrong way. But then I realized this is so much of an easier way. Why was I stopped there? Why was I making peanut butter jelly sandwich the most difficult way there was? And then I realized, then I realized I connected that to life, and I was looking like, wow, okay, this peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I'm going to now change and make it the easier way, because for some reason, my past, I was taught to do it this way. Then I realized in life, maybe because people out there are bullying me, was because somehow they were taught to behave that way, or to have this attitude. And so that made me realize that I was human, and that those people that bullied me was human. And if I could change with the peanut butter jelly sandwich, then these people that bullied me can change as well. And so that kind of woke me up to realize that, you know what, maybe I don't need to cry anymore, and maybe I should refocus my energy to maybe helping others and to educate others. And I always tell people that it was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to help me realize what bullying was about, and that how we could respond to bullying through education, but also to respond with love to those who might not give you the love in return.
And welcome back to the Golden Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with my guest, and I always like to think that we never know who could be listening. It could be the person listening at the moment wants to follow in the footsteps of the guest. It turns out that this guest has the same degree, the same career that they want in the future. So what tips do you have for those people?
I would say follow your heart, and then take chances and realize that life is a journey, that it's going to have different doors that are going to be there for you to take. And you know what? And no matter what door you take, I think that was probably universal law. I should say gift to you, because you know what? It's your life is based on the decisions you make, and your life is based on the doors you open. And walk into that door, no matter what you face, no matter what challenges you face, those challenges were meant to be given to you, and those challenges are going to help you grow. And if there's moments where you feel like maybe you don't know where you're going, that's okay. You know, be okay with that moment. Be okay with these doubts. Just know that the next day, the sun is always gonna shine. So I always recommend to people, follow your heart, but also do what you can to give yourself some self-care. You know, whether you need to meditate, whether you need to read a book, or whether you need to vent, use those opportunities to take care of yourself. I also suggest talk to people, learn from people, you know, and people that have walked down your pathway, you know, see what they went through in life and see how you can use that journey to help strengthen you are, you know. Life, you're going to have a large family life. There's a life family there with the blood versus non-blood, but those people that come into your life are there for a reason, and they're going to give you a special gift. Embrace that gift.
Once again, how can people contact you?
They could visit my organization's website, LatinoEqualityAlliance.org, or find me on Instagram as Viva Banana Power, and I'm also on Facebook under Eddie Martinez.
Message to fellow Delta Sigma Chi?
Be strong, my brothers and sisters. Take care of yourself. Enjoy your college life right now. And just know that it's a beautiful world once you graduate from Long Beach State or whatever university we're at right now.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here on the Golden Spotlight.
Thank you, Rod. We appreciate it.